29 years, about 10,500 episodes. We're going to be doing something very timely right after the show today. We will be going to election coverage, covering what's going on with Moore and Jones. A lot of people have that on their minds. It's been a huge hot topic. I am so pleased to be able to have Jerleen in from the Maui Humane Society. She's the director of the Maui Humane Society, and you've been doing an awesome job, Jerleen. Really great job. Big applause. This has been a buku wonderful year with so much going on. I can't even keep track of what you've been having happening. A lot of events that are a lot of fun, a lot of great things to help out going on at the Maui Humane Society. Today we're going to talk a little bit about things that are happening with the foster program, with things for the holidays that you can think about. Let's start with the holidays because we're really just a couple weeks out. I know that you have some of those fabulous calendars that are so popular, and people love those because it's the local Maui pets, right?
That is right. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for having me on. I always appreciate sharing information and kind of giving an update of what we're doing at the local Humane Society.
You're so busy. It's hard to get you in here. So I'm glad you made it. And yes, you can breathe and relax, right? It's like a little safe haven here. No one can get to you. So the calendars, I think they started about 15 or 20 years ago, and they became a hit. How many people submitted photos? Do you have any idea this year for the calendars?
We usually, I think we usually get about 100. Somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't know exactly what the number was this year, but that's usually about what we get. Mm-hmm. And it's so wonderful because people get to submit photos of their own fur kids at home, either past or present, and then encourage their friends and family to vote. And it's just a neat kind of creative way to fundraise for the Humane Society and for the animals on the island.
And people who are so proud to get their dogs or cats. Do you get more dogs than cats?
We actually get more cats than dogs.
You get more cats than dogs.
But we get over, a couple thousand dogs a year, several hundred a month, and then we get cats, and then we have kind of the critter category.
I mean on the calendars.
Oh, and the calendars. Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking into...
That's a lot of
cats. I think it's probably around half and half.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, every now and then you get other critters
yes,
as well.
Yes, we do. People, submit a photo of their horse and of their rabbit or guinea pigs. Yeah.
So how do people get a calendar? It's a nice stocking stuffer.
Oh, boy, there is a variety of ways. So you can come in right into our front office and purchase a calendar right then, and then that would also give you the opportunity to see our retail logo wear that's in the front office, see our giving tree that's up in the front office, and it has different valued ornaments, if you will, on the tree, and you can choose to donate whatever amount is on the ornament, and it'll say what that amount would be used for.
Now, I know almost everyone on Maui knows where you are, but there are people, a lot of visitors on the island right now, and there are people, and I'm sure you see this, there are people who like to visit and come and visit the local.
We see it all the time.
Right, yeah. Yep. And some of them like to spend a little time. So if they're visiting, how do they tell them how they can get to the Maui Humane Society?
Well, we are right on Veterans Highway. That used to be the Mokulele Highway. And we are right in between Kahalui and Kihei. And if you're heading towards Kihei, we are kind of halfway in the middle on the right-hand side.
Google Maui Humane Society. Google map it.
Yeah, Mehameha Loop. So
you've been there so long.
We have been there about 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot's happened in that time. I know you've done additions in that time. You have the cat house, which you don't call the cat house.
Yes,
all kinds of other wonderful things going on. And if I think a lot of people know about your pet, Freddie. Yeah. Freddie, that turtle.
Our tortoise.
Our tortoise that's kind of become a local hero. Yeah. And you have a birthday party for him and all that fun stuff. And I'm glad you brought up that you're doing these ornaments that people can do. It's as little as $5.
It's as little as $5, and it incrementally goes up from there. And it could be anything from a toy for a dog or a cat, or milk replacement for a little bottle baby kitty that we'll send out, to foster, or a cat carrier that will go out to foster, or a dog, or a toy or a chew toy for every dog in the shelter.
Aw.
I mean, there is a variety on that tree. So whatever resonates with you and whatever amount that someone is willing to donate to the animals at the shelter, there's something there.
I love that. I know. I just absolutely
And then
love that.
then you get to write on it, in memory of, or your name, and then it goes up on the wall in the front office of the shelter.
That's very special.
Yeah.
Absolutely special.
People are it's really wonderful to see. People are really generous, and
And I mean, just the idea of a pet getting a toy from you. It's very cute. But there are other ways. If you don't want to do that, you can make it's the end of the year, folks, and tax-deductible donations.
Yeah.
This is the time a lot of people want to get this in before tax time. So you can make a donation.
right through our website. We make it as easy as possible.
You couldn't get easier.
MauiHumaneSociety.org.
MauiHumaneSociety.org.
Front page, and it'll pop right up there. Would you like to make a donation?
It's a great way to go. It really, truly is a wonderful way to go. And there's such a need for these foster animals, too. I hope people realize this program has super taken off. When did the foster program begin here?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. We've probably been fostering animals out, even unofficially, without having a robust program for many years. But I can tell you that our foster program has been a really critical and essential component in the last few years for our really exceptional life-saving initiative. We're saving more animals than we ever have at the Humane Society.
This is such good news. I think there was the Maui News covered this about 6 months ago or so. When you made that.
Yeah. So there's this thing called live release rate, and we talk a lot about it at the Humane Society because it's how it's really just it's how shelters kind of gauge their life-saving efforts and how many animals, the percentage of animals that are able to leave each shelter or Humane Society for a positive outcome. Mm-hmm. So we finished last year, fiscal 17, at a 92% live release rate for dogs. And I was really excited.
That's huge.
It's huge. It is huge, Cindy, because we are an open door shelter, which means we don't turn any animal away.
Right.
Some animals are surrendered to us truly at the very end of their lives.
Wow.
And some animals are surrendered to us and they're not safe to adopt out in the community. So for us to be an open door shelter and be able to save more than 90% of the dogs that come to us, we're pretty proud of that. And our cats are not far behind. We have made absolute tremendous progress with kitties in the last couple of years.
How did you do that?
Oh, a variety of ways. Our foster program has been critical. Just this calendar year alone, we've put out almost 1,400 animals to foster care.
That's huge.
And yes,
huge.
Yes, and we do now. As of a couple months ago, we have a dedicated foster coordinator. So we're pretty excited about what this next year will bring, because that was 1,400 animals without a dedicated foster coordinator.
Explain to people what qualifies a pet as a foster pet.
It could be a variety of reasons. It just boils down to they need a little extra time or care before they're ready for adoption. So, and each person gets to decide what would work best for their lifestyle, what type of animal will work best for them. It might be a dog or a cat or a puppy or a kitten. So oftentimes we get in kittens that are just too young and too small to be spayed or neutered, and every animal has to be spayed or neutered prior to leaving our shelter. So maybe kitties just need to gain a pound or a half a pound.
Wow.
It could just be a couple weeks in foster, and it's better to have them in a home than in the shelter waiting. Or it could be a dog that has had surgery and just needs to recover for a little while before they go up for adoption. Or same thing with puppies. You
must have some parents, foster parents, who are repeat parents over and over.
Oh, we do. Fostering, I will say fostering isn't for everyone, but for some people it is everything. And we have foster parents that we absolutely rely on. And to just continue fostering one after the other. But we have people that are a little more sporadic, depends on their schedule. And we absolutely respect that, because even if you can only foster one animal, just one, and see if it's for you. And you certainly made a difference in that animal's life. So,
Well, and I was asking you before we started the show, I said, well, how many times do people fall in love with their foster pet? And
it happens.
Yeah. And then they just have to have them. They can't let them go back, right?
Yes, that does happen, yes. And so our foster families or foster parents, they absolutely, usually, always get kind of first dibs on an animal. And the only time that isn't the case is if they're fostering an animal that is going to be flying out on our Wings of Aloha program, because that animal's already spoken for.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. This has been a wonderful concept, and I mean, it's made impressions all around the country. Actually, I remember it was about 3 or 4 years ago you began the Wings of Aloha.
Yeah, we launched it in 2012.
Wow, it's been 5 years.
And then every year, I mean, but like anything, we've refined it. We've made little adjustments. We've grown that program. We have a dedicated transfer coordinator now. We have funding for that program. So, it has evolved like many other programs and things that we do at the Humane Society.
Yeah, and explain to people again that may not have. I mean, I know all about it, but there's people listening who may not know. We're talking about the Wings of Aloha. So, we're not putting wings on the pet's back.
No, we are not. So Wings of Aloha is just a subset of our transfer program. And transfer program is when one shelter will transfer animals to another shelter or rescue that has capacity. We call it our Wings of Aloha because we send the vast majority of our animals that we transfer out, they go to the mainland. And so they have to go on an airplane. And so we have right now somewhere around about 18 transfer partners on the mainland who we work very closely with. We have a very trusted relationship with them. And these are guaranteed placement rescues and shelters. In other words, the only reason that an animal wouldn't go on to be adopted is if something really unusual happened. They something medically, came up with the animal or something like that.
So you. I mean, this is amazing to me because I know how expensive it is to fly.
Yes.
And when I first heard about that, I said, how in the world can they afford to fly pets to the mainland? I couldn't quite fathom it because people would buy a pet rather than spend the money sometimes for this. But how did you get the money to cover for this to happen?
Oh, goodness. So in the very beginning, and for all this time until very recently, this was a donor-funded program. It was really the cost of the tickets and the crates were purchased or were covered by private donors. And we have a couple transport partners, Alaska Airlines and Hawaiian Airlines, that give us a discounted rate. And so we very much appreciate that. However, recently we were able to receive a grant to cover the cost of sending these dogs, these very deserving dogs and cats, to the mainland.
And it saved lots of lives.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, really, it's been so successful.
Yeah.
How many pets have you sent out?
Oh, boy. More than a couple thousand.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, people don't, I know what it takes to do this, but for an animal, you're talking about someone crating them, taking them care of them, bringing them down there, making sure they get
everything.
It's a lot of time.
Health certificates, from the communication that we have that our transfer coordinator has with our staff, choosing the animals, getting the medical history, communicating that with the transfer partner, booking the flight, selecting the crates, bathing the animal. And I mean, there's so many steps, but I think what I would really, really want your listeners to know, Cindy, is that our transfer program, while it is so critical, we don't always want to have a transfer program. We are doing our best to work our way out of a transfer program. And as soon as we are able to have more of a balance of animals to the number of adopters on this island, we won't have to have a transfer program. And the only way we'll do that is through spay and neuter.
And that I'm so glad, because that was going to be my next question, because I remember when you did the first spay and neuter MASH program. That was about 3 or 4 years ago, wasn't it?
Just going on 3, maybe 2.5, 3 years ago.
And I remember that it was such a great thing because, I mean, we were talking all about it. We were so excited. They had the group come in and they volunteered their time and they just worked day and night and they were put up at local places, the doctors.
And they partnered with our own staff, our own volunteers, and our own doctors. So they came in and partnered with us for 2 clinics.
Yeah.
And then we went on to have 13 more clinics. And we just... Cindy, I have such exceptional people that work at the shelter. I just can't even tell you. They are talented, they're experienced, and they have this undying devotion and passion for animals. And so you combine that, and really amazing things happen. And so we were able to just do more and more and more animals every MASH clinic that we had, to the point where we were doubling the number.
Wow.
And these vets were getting done at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And we're like, no, that's too early. We need you to keep working. We need more animals. So,
but you do sell them out when you have these clinics.
We do. We do.
You're working day and night.
Yeah.
And you have obviously for cats and dogs, and it's been amazing the way you've taken this on.
Yeah.
And you did see the difference,
Oh,
right?
we have. We are definitely seeing a difference. It's just, this issue with overpopulation on our island, it didn't happen overnight.
No.
And it didn't happen in a couple of years.
No.
So it isn't going to be fixed in a couple of years. But I can tell you...
Pun intended.
But I can... Exactly. But I can tell you that progress is being made. We are definitely seeing it at the shelter with the intake of animals. We just have to be very consistent, and we have to keep that message out there and really promote spay and neuter. But a neat thing happened this last year, too, is that we received a grant to expand our veterinary clinic. And because we never intended for MASH clinics to be the only source of spay and neuter. And so we now have a really beautiful expanded spay neuter clinic, and veterinary clinic, and we treat our shelter animals, and then we also offer low and no cost spay and neuter to the community. So,
and how often are you offering these spay neuter clinics now?
Well, we offer spay and neuter to the community 5 days a week through our own clinic. And so
you don't have to have.
Exactly. And so it varies. Sometimes we're a couple weeks out, and I'll be honest, sometimes our appointments are a couple months out. It just depends. But I did hear today that more surgery slots were opened, and the soonest one that we have is literally December 26th.
That's good.
So
news.
if somebody has been waiting to get their animal in for spay and neuter, don't wait. Call the Humane Society today.
Well, and again, people may not be aware of this. There were people that could not afford to go to a vet, and because it could be $200 or up.
Oh, hundreds,
really,
$500, $600.
That's a lot of money for a family that really can't afford that. So doing it this way made a huge difference. On top of that, you were doing microchip as well, and so it was really getting a handle on an out-of-control situation.
Absolutely. We don't want lack of finances to be a barrier to sterilizing a pet. And so please, just know that if you want to get your pet sterilized, if somebody listening wants to get their pet sterilized, call us, and we are going to find a way to make that happen for you. So,
just before we went on the air, I was talking to you about the California law about actually saying, that no pet factories, instead, they're going to actually say you have to do a rescue pet. And you said they've been pretty good here on the island, which is wonderful because the thing is there's so many. On an island, you have so many amazing pets. We run a show on Saturday. It's very popular. It's Warren Eckstein's pet show. And he is fanatical about this, you know. And you always will hear someone call in. They must not know what he's saying. And they're saying, and he always asks where they get the dog. And he says, I bought this from, an owner, and it was a breeder. And it's, and people really don't understand that you can get a wonderful, beautiful, purebred pet or any kind of pet that's just fabulous, and you don't need to perpetuate that problem of pet overpopulation, and you're saving an animal's life.
Absolutely. My favorite is when somebody is saying that they are looking for, let's say, a dog. And I say, what kind of dog are you looking for? And my favorite answer is when they say, we're not looking for any particular breed. We're just looking for a dog that's going to be a good fit for us. And it's like, it gives me goosebumps because that is the answer that we want to hear.
Right.
But that's not always the case. Some people have an affinity towards a certain breed or they had it as a child.
Yep.
And if you think purebred dogs don't come to the shelter, to the Humane Society, you would be incorrect. Just a couple weeks ago, we had 2 beautiful purebred Siberian Huskies.
Wow.
Just within a month ago, we had a purebred little pug.
Really?
We see it.
And
we
people
see it.
get those dogs and spend hundreds of dollars.
But I will tell you that our inventory, if you will, we call that, because we have an inventory of animals, changes daily, every day. So if you are looking for a particular kind, you've got to be a little fanatical about watching our website and then also coming in, because some dogs, I will say, and some cats, but mostly dogs, won't even make it all the way to our website because somebody will see them before the pictures are taken and before the bio is written, and they'll put a hold on them, and then they will be adopted before they even make it to the website. So
yeah, I mean,
a little insider info there.
I remember when Jerleen Virtue was living here, and she would get so many pets, and her pets were gorgeous little pets, you know, and she got so many. Yeah. And she'd say she got them from the Maui Humane Society, and they're just beautiful pets, you know. I mean, they are there, and you know, there's really a perfect dog or cat waiting for you.
That is true.
and I'm glad you brought up, because I wasn't even aware that people could just go to MauiHumaneSociety.org.
Absolutely.
And actually check that out and see what's available.
Yep, right on our homepage, it'll say adoptable animals or adopt now, and you just click on that, and it'll take you to a whole section of dogs, a whole section of cats, and a whole section of critters. And most of them will have pictures, or the picture is coming, and it'll have a brief description or bio on that animal.
Now, this is something that you really should probably bookmark. It is an excellent. I was just mentioning to Jerleen how beautiful it is even on your phone if you put it on your phone, because it really has wonderful pictures. I was just looking at this lovely gift you have here.
Yeah.
This is a fuzzy, soft green, lovely pet blanket that you have.
So we have through the end of December. We have, through December 30th, this holiday promotion, and it's an MHS limited edition fleece blanket giveaway for all adoptions. And it is this cute little green fuzzy blanket with the Maui Humane Society logo on it. Aww. And so that's our gift to our community that chooses to adopt now between now and December 30th.
And what are the hours at the Humane Society?
We are open from Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
So,
11 to 6. Now, I was also seeing on your website something I was not aware of, which I thought was brilliant. Donate supplies from our Amazon wish list.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, I had no idea you could do that. Tell us about how you do that.
Well, we are making it as easy as possible. You know, we actually have supporters who don't live on the island or who are here part-time, but maybe maybe are off island. And you can support the needs of the Humane Society and help the animals that we care for by simply going to this list, choosing what you'd like to give, the quantity that you'd like to give. Our address is in there. You just pay for it, and Amazon will ship it directly to us.
I don't know where that idea came from, but I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea you could do it.
It's wonderful.
It's a little different. It's got to be interesting because I know you have, as part of your job, staying in touch with not only the other islands here, but also people around the country. But we are in a very unique situation, being in Hawaii and on the island, different than other places. But one thing that's been happening, I have to think mainly here of California this year, it's been just a terrible situation with fires this year. I had a place in Northern California in Santa Rosa, and I had horses in my backyard. It's 2 acres right next to a huge Annandale Park, 4,000-acre park. And the whole place completely burnt down. And whole areas there. And, of course, the most recent one still going on in some areas above, just below Santa Barbara. And Ojai, this is horse country. And some of this Ventura County had a lot of horse ranches. And we were seeing stories that were just heartbreaking about a few things, and there's backstories on each of these. But sometimes people hadn't planned on it. They didn't have evacuation plans. They left. Their horses were locked in and not released. And I saw one video where the flames behind the ranch, and they were trying to break down. I don't know if you saw that, break down the fence so the horses could get
You're
free.
braver than me, Cindy. I can't watch those videos, I will be honest.
It was like these horses. I mean, they were beautiful horses, and they were all completely encased in a corral, and they couldn't get out. And the person actually tore apart the fence so the horses could get free. And you hope that some of them, a lot of them were able to. They certainly have a better chance
Yes.
freed than they do in that. So I want to bring up this situation. A fire, certainly any kind of emergency flood, whatever, earthquake can happen here. And I hope when we see things like this that we take into account our pets. And I know we always tell people to have an emergency package ready to go, have your little kit and everything. But what people don't realize, and they found this to be true, of course, when Katrina happened in New Orleans, people would not leave without their pet. People would die there rather than leave their pet behind. And I think we're just beginning to realize the importance of any place where you go to be able to have a way to keep. If you're going to a place that's an evacuation center, how do you handle the pets? Do you plan if there's a fire, if there's a flood?
Right.
What do you do with the
pets? What I can tell you on this island is that the Humane Society partners with the Red Cross. And so when the Red Cross opens their human shelters, we open an adjacent pet-friendly shelter.
Oh, that's good
and
to
the
know.
Humane Society does that. So information will be on our website as to where, if we know that something's about to happen or where we think that there's the potential for a disaster to happen, we will post on our website or on our Facebook page actually is even more up-to-date information where those pet-friendly shelters will be. What I would also like to say is that we are always looking for volunteers to help with those pet-friendly shelters. So if somebody is listening today and would like to be on our list and would like to get training to
if there's an
take a
emergency
shift
with
on exactly because we rely on volunteers, some select staff, but volunteers to take shifts at those pet-friendly shelters. So
I know it was interesting in this last fire in Los Angeles and just above Los Angeles, they actually used racetracks. And I remember when I was young, I had a horse that was in a fire in Malibu. And they did indeed I thought my horse was gone. They took my horse to Santa Anita racetrack.
Wow.
So sometimes that will happen. We don't have a racetrack here. So we have to look and see what would happen if something happened and there was a cane fire and it got out of control and there's, not people watching it as much now. So, this is something that responsible pet owners kind of have to think about. We'd never like to think about an emergency like that. No. But it's much better to have a plan and have that awareness before something happens and afterwards. And even just like they do in school, have a fire drill.
Sure.
Have a little plan. What would you do if something happened?
We ask that anyone bringing a pet to the shelter have a way to transport it, have a crate. We will have some crates, limited number of crates at our pet-friendly shelters, but it's so much better if someone will show up with a crate that is sized for their animal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it can make all the difference to have that in mind. And speaking of that, one of my pet peeves is what happens when fireworks go off. And of course, we are just a few weeks away, folks. From January 1st, and I seem to think this maybe just where I live, didn't seem to be quite as much going off on 4th of July this year, but you are going to be sure that there are going to be firecrackers going off, and I think we never can quite be aware of how much more sensitive our dogs' hearing is.
It's
and cats,
terrifying to them.
And birds. I mean, their hearing is so sensitive, and of course, they're very aware of not only that, but the smell. Their sense of smell is amazing. So all of a sudden, they're being bombarded with smells and sights and hearing and things that are just completely they can't process. And you get a lot of dogs that run away and when there's a fireworks display, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you, every year people will ask me, what are you guys going to do for New Year's Eve? Or what are you guys doing for 4th of July? And my answer is always the same, staying home with my pets. Because it's just terrifying to them, especially to one of them, and I have 3 dogs, when the fireworks start going off. So how could I possibly leave them? But many animals do get out and do, run away. Our officers are on duty, and they're picking up any strays that they see, and we're responding to calls of people who have found animals, and we're trying to match those people up with people who have lost animals and who have made a report. And unfortunately, some of those animals are injured. So
it can happen if the pet's freaked out. The one thing they'll do is they'll run across the road.
Absolutely.
And
so,
it's usually
prevention.
dark and,
it's about prevention.
Yeah.
If you have a pet, please stop and think about that pet. And if you're not going to be home, please do whatever you can do to keep your pet in a safe place. Imagine dogs that are in a backyard. It's terrifying to them, or who are tethered up. And it might be different to each person. For, maybe that dog is better in a crate or better in the house or in the garage.
I have to ask a question, because this was I remember when this started. Now, we all know we have a problem with expensive housing and not enough housing. It's almost at a crisis level with what it costs. And as we see more and more owners of homes get more and more discriminating because they have a list of 25 people who want their place, one thing I know you've seen the after effects of is there's many homeowners that are saying no pets.
Sure.
This has been going on for a while, but I think I've seen it increase more. Have you seen more and more people saying, gosh, I love my pet. I have to move. I can't move to a place that with a pet. They won't allow my pet. So, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's heartbreaking. You see
it is, and I don't know. I can't answer accurately if we are seeing and hearing that more today than we have last year or the year before or several years ago. What I can tell you, it is one of the most common reasons that people surrender their pet to the shelter. I know as of a couple weeks ago, one of my staff were looking on Craigslist at all the housing that was available for rent and how many of those said were pet friendly, and it was only 6%.
Oh, that's
6%.
terrible.
But what I will also tell you is that there are very responsible pet owners out there, and I'm sure people are people. There's irresponsible pet owners, but homeowners who choose to rent to responsible pet owners feel that that's the way they want to go. Not only that they feel like they are the most responsible, trustworthy renters, because they feel very grateful that they have found a place to live with their animal, and they're not going to do anything to jeopardize that.
Well, that's a very good point. But I have to say, one time I'd got one, and I believe I had owned a home, and I had the most irresponsible.
Yeah, it happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, I did. I got one of those, and that they always let the dog run loose and get free. Always,
Yeah.
And it was always running in the street, and it would yap and bark all day long, and they didn't,
But that's where you could check references.
Yeah,
that's where that's
a good thing, and I didn't have references on that person. I should have had references on that person.
And so what we ask people who have pets that are looking to rent, do put some effort into it.
Yes.
Get references on your pet.
It can
references
make
from your veterinarian,
huge
maybe
difference.
references from a dog trainer.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And because then all of a sudden, and I tell you what, I know people that will pay more. They'll pay more in rent.
Yeah.
If they can take their pet with them.
Well, and I think wasn't it in 2012 that I don't know if it's an ordinance or if it was the law that was passed that homeowners could ask for a pet deposit, because prior to that they couldn't.
I didn't know
so
that.
So now you can ask for an actual pet deposit.
I was not aware of that at all. I never heard of that one. So that's a good thing for homeowners to be aware of.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, because you certainly are going to get a whole bunch of people that do have pets who would love to be able to rent, and that's something that we do have issues with, and it's the pet lovers are so wonderful. They take a lot of pets on, but there comes a limit, right? How many animals do you have, Jerleen?
Sure. How many do I have?
Yes,
I have 3 dogs.
Yay, 3 dogs, and and you're in a very situation where you can absolutely fall in love with a pet.
I will tell you, Cindy, my office is in the back of the shelter in kind of our modular admin building. And so I, of course, am walking up to the front of the shelter multiple times a day. And I will find myself frequently, I mean, I want to say it every day, and then I kind of, hold myself back, but frequently will walk into the admin building and say, oh my gosh, we have amazing dogs, because I have to walk past the dog kennels to get, and then I realize we always have amazing dogs because we see so many. Of course, you have those that are just, you could just tell right away, you are really something special, and I say it frequently, so.
Now, I have to remember that, we're in the holiday seasons. There are times that parents want to get a sweet little puppy for Christmas or a kitty.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes maybe even a ducky or a rabbit.
Yeah.
This happens at Easter and Christmas,
Sure.
of course, you know, but at Easter, of course, it's more rabbits, I would imagine. So what do you tell people about this? Because pets are wonderful for children, but you have to also be, you know, aware and responsible as to what you get. Getting a cute puppy that's going to be 150 pounds in a year is different than. So what would your advice be to parents that would like to get their kid a pet for Christmas?
Well, my advice. So we practice what's called open adoption. So we don't put a lot of barriers or restrictions to people coming to adopt, because a lot of studies have been done over the last 10 to 15 years, and those studies have shown that you're not helping more animals by being more restrictive. What we choose to do is really counsel. We do our best to make a good match. So we ask questions. What kind of pet are you looking for? What type of pet would bring joy to your life? Are you looking for an active pet, a less active pet, a senior? And that's really kind of the path that we take. Is we really try to ask questions and make that good match with the adopter and the dog. If you were looking for a couch potato to watch TV with, please do not come get a 1-year-old sporting dog.
Or Jack Russell Terrier.
Exactly. You will not be happy. On the other hand, maybe the dog is going to force you to get off the couch and get out there and walk some.
That's very good. And I'm glad you brought up something, because I was going to ask you about the senior dogs. This is something there's been so much more awareness about senior dogs in the last few years about this. And it's been so beautiful and heartwarming. And I think there's a bit of a social media thing on this too. And I know
we
Warren
promote it a
talks
lot.
about
Yep. And we have senior Saturdays. And
well, tell me about that. And what is a senior dog, and why is it good to get a senior dog?
Oh boy, now you're going to put me on the spot. So seniors for us are 7 years and older. So a senior cat or a senior dog. And I'll tell you, these dogs, they're just wise. They're experienced.
Yes.
You can come in, and I truly, truly believe that they have appreciation. They know that you are adopting them, and they will pay it forward to you.
You are so right. I got a horse one time when I was living and I was working as young in Beverly Hills, and I had this lady who was a client, very, very wealthy client. And she came in to do shopping, and I asked her how she was. She said, "Oh, I'm just kind of bummed. I'm going to have to put a horse down this afternoon." I said, "Why?" She said, "Oh, I had him in a stall, and he'd run into a cable, got blinded in one eye, and we put him in a stall, and then we finally got a rider him after 6 months, and he ran away with the person." I said, "Well, no wonder you had him in a stall for 6 months."
Yeah.
I said, "Don't put him down. I'll come out and look at it." I said, "If I can come out and look at it and take care of it, can I have the horse?" And she said yes. And it was on his birthday, and I went out. His name was he had a name like Fighter Dominant, something awful, his name, but he was a purebred horse from Man o' War, thoroughbred. And I saw him, and it was love at first sight. I got on his back, and he was a dream. She was shocked. He said, "Oh my God, look he's being wonderful." He was blind in one eye. And I had him for 20 years, and we were soulmates. It just was the most wonderful horse. I changed his name to Lumiere, which became Lumpy. The first thing I did. And he absolutely knew I saved his life. Absolutely. I don't know. They know.
That's
no
a
way I
wonderful
can do
story.
It. But those things happen. And when you save a pet's life, they do know. They absolutely know.
And a lot of these senior dogs, they're housebroken. They know tricks. They walk well on the leash. They know how to ride in the car. They're crate trained. I mean, how do you just go wrong with that, right?
Yeah, no, and there is something. There's this bond that happens when you have that, and you have and it's so sweet because there's this love that happens. And I don't think 7's senior, but it's enough where those dogs may not be adopted otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful that you can actually take those animals, and for 7 years old, it's not that old for dogs, and for cats. Cats live longer than dogs, don't they? As a rule.
Typically, sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about cats, because I know that you have people that like to come that can't own pets. They've moved to a place, and they are not allowed to have a pet, but they still love pets and they want to spend some time.
Yeah.
There's two
We
things
love those
they can
people.
do. They can come play with the pets, or you started a program I just love that. I think it made it to the front page and it made it to national news, where you allow people to come and take a pet to the beach.
Oh, yes,
And
Okay.
you even set them all up, and a
Yeah.
person can take
Yep.
a dog to the beach and have a doggy day.
Sure.
You know, and what a beautiful thing, because they can't have a pet.
Sure.
They can't explain how that happened and how that's going.
Okay, well, it's going great. There's a variety of ways to interact with the animals at our shelter. So there is a program called Beach Buddies, and you can sign up for it online on our website. And you can come in the morning, be there by 11, and return that dog by 4 in the afternoon or anytime in between. And we choose, I think it's, what is it, like five different dogs. And it's really just first come, first pick, right, on which dog you choose to take out. We send you with all of the supplies, a backpack that has everything in there, from water bowl to a towel for the back seat to, the leash, the collar, information on the dog. And it's a really, really popular program. And so it really serves kind of a dual purpose. It gives our dogs a break from the shelter environment, and we try to make that environment as really as comfortable and enriching as possible for them. But you know what? It's a field trip, right?
Yeah.
And then it gives especially tourists an opportunity to interact with our animals. Maybe they're missing their own at home.
So tourists can do it.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And or if you're a resident on the island, you can sign up for it also. And then it also gives us some really valuable information about that pet outside of the shelter. How'd they do in the car? Did they like water? It's really valuable, and it has actually really helped those dogs get adopted.
Have you found that there are regulars that come?
Oh, yeah. There's everything. There's tourists that have been. Let's see. When did we launch? We've been doing Beach Buddies now for a couple of years, and we have tourists that have done it like multiple times, once or twice a year when they come to Maui.
Oh my gosh!
And then so it's a really great program. What I will say is that the slots fill up really quickly. And so I don't know where it's at today, but at any given time, I think we're about a couple months booked on Beach Buddies.
My gosh.
But I will say that it doesn't just have to be Beach Buddies. You can come and spend time with our dogs. If you live here on the island, come be a volunteer. There's no set hours. You come to a volunteer orientation. And if you want to work with the dogs and the puppies, you come to a dog and puppy training. And really, we're just showing you kind of our routine and our policies for getting dogs in and out of the kennels and things like that. And then there's no set hours for volunteers. If we're open, you just come and interact.
I didn't know that.
Interact with them. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
you
wonderful.
can come and walk them, or come spend time in our little gazebos, working on sit and down and things like that. And we really try to make it as accommodating as possible for our volunteers.
And I do want to mention something which has become extremely popular, which is the holiday camps, the kid camps.
Yes.
The kid camps have
so
really
popular. We're already sold out for this next one for December.
Are you already sold out?
Yes.
That's unbelievable. Wow.
But they are very popular. And so we
What
have
do you think
one.
makes them so popular?
Well, I don't know. Don't most children want to go spend time with the animals?
Yes.
And I think we've been offering these camps long enough that they have a very good reputation. They're a very quality camp in the sense that we have a lot of interaction with the children in the form of speakers coming in and hands-on time with our dogs and just our animals at the shelter, dogs, cats, and critters. It's just I think the children really, really like it. And so,
What age groups do you go from?
Oh, see, you're going to put me on the spot
Sorry.
again.
I'm putting on
boy, I want to say it is like 2nd through 5th or 6th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know it's very, very popular, but
Yeah.
I didn't know you'd already. I was going to promote it saying you can sign up for Christmas. So then people better start signing up now for Easter, right?
So
When's
we have 2 sessions. We had the December 26th to the 29th, and then the first week of January, and both of those sold out. And so what I will say is watch our website, because as soon as a camp opens and we're promoting it, I don't know what the date is for after that, but we do if there's a school break here on the island, we usually offer camp during that school break. But we will always have the information on our website.
And again, folks, you got to obviously have to think ahead on this one.
Yes.
I had no idea it's taken up so much.
Yes.
How many staff do you have? And let's give some shout-outs because it is holiday time and there's a lot of volunteers. How many volunteers are kind of on your regular basis, volunteers at Humane Society?
In the last year, and this could vary, we have some volunteers that come multiple days a week and some volunteers that have only come a few times. But in this last year, we've had about 350 volunteers.
Wow.
This last year, our volunteers gave just shy of 20,000 hours of service to the Humane Society.
Wow.
We have, our staff is just at about 50 people on staff right now.
That's huge. Wow.
We deal with a lot of animals, and
Yes,
it takes a lot to care for them properly. I will tell you that much. And so, and that includes our Humane Enforcement Department. So we have 11 people on staff in our Humane Enforcement Department. And that's 8 officers, 2 dispatchers, because we are 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So 8 officers, 2 dispatchers, and then a director for that department.
And tell people why that's so important, because some places don't have that.
Oh, goodness. If it wasn't, our officers, the combined calls from the public and officer-initiated patrols, they do about 11,000 calls for service a year.
Wow.
And they are responding to calls of neglect and abuse and calls of loose dogs, barking dogs, unrestrained dog bites, dog-to-dog attacks. Our officers are very busy.
And it's so different in each area of the island. You have
Sure.
different needs and things happening in agricultural areas and ranch areas versus what you'd get here in the crowded cities, et cetera, of what it could be. But, I mean, there is a problem. I moved, but I used to be in a house where the owner, and I love the wife, but the husband always would let his dog run loose, always. And it was like your neighbors, and you don't, but I mean, it got to the point where people were afraid to come because it was a big, big dog that liked to bark and bite. And even people were supposed to come and do work in the house wouldn't come because this dog would just literally go crazy on people.
Yeah, I think there's still some confusion on the island, and I think it's ongoing education that we do our best to provide to the community. But Maui County has a leash law. Your dog must be on leash at all times unless they are in your own front yard and your yard is fenced. It does not count if your yard isn't fenced. So they must be restrained on a leash in your own front yard that is unless it's fenced, and or at a dog park. But if you are at the beach, there is no beach where off-leash dogs are allowed, and not on the island of Maui.
It's one of my pet peeves, and that was pun intended again. But I go hiking every day, and I go walking, and sometimes up in I walk up country, and I used to say something, and I gave up because I got such nasty comments. But people love letting their dog run free. Now I can understand you're out in nature, you want your dog to be happy and run free. But I have seen things. I was up Alinda Road with that lupus. One time I was walking up there, and this family came back with the dog over the head. He'd fallen down the cliff heading towards the spring and died. It's like, well, if your dog had been on a leash, this would not. And you can't say that. But people don't understand that the people who do have their pets on a leash and then have some dog running free are setting the dog up on the leash in for an attack or something. It's just,
it's just the way it is.
I've given up trying to.
And I will say that there's a lot of people when our officers do beach patrols, and they are doing more now than they ever have because we're receiving so many reports and complaints about off-leash dogs at the beach.
Yeah.
And I realize that people want their dog to be off-leash, but it is against the law.
Yeah.
We all want to do lots of things,
right?
But some things are against the law, and having your dog off leash is one of those.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that will support our officers. And then, I have to say that there's a lot of people who are not respectful and kind towards our officers, and I just want the community to understand our officers are doing their job.
Thank you.
Just like the police.
Well, I mean, I know because, like I say, I've given up even saying when I'm out walking, the dog should be on a leash. And then they start swearing at you, and they'll start. And I'm going, I said, it's just, and I've stopped. I used to try to explain why. Yeah. But for some reason, they think that they have the right to have their dog run free. And it's just not, there's reasons why. There's
yes,
law.
there is.
I've seen it enough where I'm going, my gosh, folks.
Yep.
You do have, there is a law for a reason, and you've seen things happen, you know.
Yep. You know, we can see that more unrestrained dogs lead to more dog-to-dog dog attacks and dog-to-people bites.
Yep.
And DOAs, dogs that get hit by a car.
Yeah.
So, you know, So there's a correlation there.
you do an amazing job. I just can't even imagine how people realize. But I mean, the thing, if people were able to really see what's happened over the last, you've been there now, in charge now for 3 years?
Yes, I took over just about 3.5 years ago, June of 2014.
And it's really, I have to congratulate you because what's happened in that time is almost miraculous. And the programs and the things that have been happening, the Wings of Aloha, the camps, the fun events that you have happening, the spay and neuter. I have nothing but respect for what has happened. And
thank you.
And there's just like there's people always mad if you tell them to put on a leash. There's people always are going to be mad at Humane Society without understanding and knowing. Sure. I wish they could actually spend a day there in your shoes.
We're doing our best to win those people over, Cindy.
And I think you're doing a good job. I really do. I think you've done an excellent job at doing that because it's a really, really tough job. What the Humane Society does, I couldn't have the heart to try to even deal with what you have to see and your people have to see on a regular basis, especially when they see dogs that are mistreated or dogs that are injured or you know, anything that happens like that.
It is difficult, and I will tell you, it's a unique environment that I work in because I can't even tell you the depth of the respect and the admiration I have for my staff at the shelter. But I will tell you, sure, there are some difficult cases that come in, but if you want to see an animal have my staff rally around them and support them and do anything for them, it's the animal that comes in the saddest case, right? I mean, everybody will do everything for that animal just because of the condition and the life that it had. And so it's never an easy thing to see, but it's you've got to do it, and you do a great job. And again, this is in the last minute. I want to remind people there's lots of ways you can help. It's Christmas time. These pets love toys, and you can go down to the Humane Society, and you can go and look at the tree, and you can actually fill out a little thing, and you can make sure a pet has a toy for Christmas. Yep.
You can adopt right now and get a lovely fuzzy green blanket that goes with your adoption. You can contact the Humane Society for spay and neuter, which is really great. You can contact them for making a day at the beach buddies. You can donate to Wings of Aloha. You can become a foster parent. There's lots of need for foster parents still. 877-3681, is that still the number?
3680.
Yes. Yeah.
Geez, good memory.
Well, yeah, I've called it a lot. 877-3680. There's lots of extensions, so I think what's the best number? Because I always kind of get confused when you're calling 877-3680 and you want to talk to a person.
Extension 3 is going to take you right to our front desk,
good.
And it's
That's
going to
good
say
to
right
know.
there.
I say I never knew that.
Extension 3 is going to take you to customer service, and if if you need to be talking to someone else, they're going to connect you.
Well, I thank you so much, Jerleen. It's been wonderful seeing you. Mele Kaliki Maka, bless you and all those wonderful volunteers and people who work at the Humane Society. And bless all the pets that are there as well, because it's just been beautiful to see how they've been able to, a lot of them get homes, and everyone that's listening can help in some way. We're going to be going to an unusual thing. There's an election coverage with Moore and Jones. Then we're going to see what's happening with that and give you an update. It's a very important election, so we're going to be covering that next. And Mele Kaliki Maka, thanks for listening.
With your latest news headlines.